Enjoying your weekend so far? It's gonna get better. Yeah. Right now. Are you guys ready? You don't sound ready. That's more like it. Please give a warm welcome to the one and only McDowell. Comfortable. How are you feeling? You having a good time so far?
I'm feeling great.
Good. So we will get right into it. I'm curious about something that I just learned. So I know that you did an audio narration of a piece from the novel of A Clockwork Orange. I recently discovered that there is an AI version of the audiobook using your voice. Is that something?
We'll sue their asses.
That's what my question was going to be.
Fucking.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I discovered it literally today.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it just came out. Yeah, like a week. I found it on YouTube.
So wait a minute. It's not on one of the DVDs, right?
Not that I know of. It's on YouTube. It's just a video. You have to subscribe and pay to read it.
The only
or listen
channel
to it.
I watch.
And it specifically says A Clockwork Orange novel narrated by Malcolm McDowell, and then it's got a little disclaimer that says that it's AI. So I was curious
love to hear it.
How you felt about that.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you for telling me. I'll look out for it.
So if there was an actual valid and authorized audiobook for Clockwork Orange, I know there are already a couple versions. Would you ever be interested in narrating it yourself and giving us another taste of Alex?
Probably not. Because, I mean, I made the movie 55 years ago. I really have nothing more to say about it. Except, God, how lucky was I to be cast and make the movie, with a great man. And with a great cast. It was an extraordinary time. And when that film came out, there was nothing like it. It was groundbreaking, and just the look was so extraordinary then. Now everybody's, copied it. And, all these fashion icons, Madonna and all these people, David Bowie dressed up as me with the eyelash, the whole thing. But, I'm happy to lend it to David Bowie because I was such a great fan. And he's such a great singer. I just loved his stuff, But, I think it's extraordinary. I guess AI is with us and we just have to get used to it.
Agreed. It's not going anywhere. For good or for bad, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, you've played so many different types of characters, but your villainous characters, sometimes they seem to embody like an elegant menace. What draws you to those psychologically complex roles?
I'm not really drawn to them, they are drawn to me. If you start your career and have a big hit playing a psycho, then you're asked to play a lot of psychos. Because it kind of guarantees the studio or the financial people, hey, get in, he did one, we made money with it, let's do it again. And it's what they call, I guess, it's just casting, and that's what they do. They don't have that much imagination. You think Hollywood is the center of imagination. I have to say that it is exactly the opposite. I'm not saying I don't like it. There's things about it that I love, but it's really, it's kind of weird, but usually the heavy is the part to play. Because it's the most fun, and it's usually the part that's most further away from me as a person. And so I get to really be somebody horrifically bad, and they pay me for it. And I kind of love that, I think Helen Mirren said, because she'd just been in this Mobland thing, and Helen's used to playing the Queen and this, and she said it was so liberating to be so nasty. And I felt that pretty much my whole career.
And to me anyway, and maybe you all feel this way as well, I feel like those are the most interesting roles, as opposed to the straight man type of roles.
Yeah, you know, and also I try to make them all different, even though a lot of them are written the same way. And I go, deja vu, haven't I been in this before? But, you know, I always like to come somewhere from the left field to a character, and I always really try to find the humor, you know, in it if I can, which of course makes it even worse. But, you know, they are fun. I mean, but really, have I ever studied psychopaths? No. Not at all. I suppose if I was a method actor, I would, but my thing is, look, do as written and really enjoy it. And I think that's really a key, honestly, to my career, is that I have really enjoyed it. I love what I do, and I get a big kick out of it, and I can't believe they haven't found me out yet.
So are you saying you have imposter syndrome? Are you saying you have imposter syndrome like the rest of us?
No, I'm just saying that, you know, a young actor starting out in Liverpool, I would never have imagined to have had such a great long journey that I've had. You know, I've been very, very lucky. You know, there's a lot of really talented people around that never really get the breaks, and I've just been very lucky that, and you know, the way I became a film actor was by chance, because I went to see this director who just happened to be one of the great directors working in England. His name was Lindsay Anderson, and he was making a movie. It was my first movie, called If, which was about a revolution in a boys' school. And it really caused a tremendous furore when it came out. But how I got the part was, I met with him, we talked, it was very nice, and but I had to go for a second audition, which was the key one. It was either yes or no. And I was working at the Royal Court Theatre in London, doing a modern-day version of Twelfth Night. A horrendous production that everybody loved, one of those. And so I get to this theatre where the few that were auditioning were, and so the first thing the director said is, "Did you get the script?" And I went, "No, I didn't get the script." He went, "Oh, for God's sake!" And he screamed at the casting director, "But why didn't you get him a script? Get him a script!" So, I mean, it's a bit late, you know, to be giving me a script. We're going to be auditioning in 5 minutes. And at that moment, I look over and I see this beautiful girl, which I must admit, distracted me somewhat. And I went, "Hello," and she like blanked me, you know. Okay. I looked at the script, and it was going in one ear and out the other. So, and then they went, "Okay." Well, I said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to have to hold the script because obviously I can't learn it in 3 minutes." But so we started the scene with this girl, and so I'm reading, and it says, "Mick passionately kisses girl." And I thought, well, lucky me. I'm thinking that as we're processing it, and she was behind, supposed to be a coffee bar. She was serving coffee, and I'm a customer. I pulled her over. They had a table. It was supposed to be the counter. I pulled her over the table, you know, and I kissed her, and our lips banged together, and there was blood of some kind. It was not romantic. She was a little feisty, and the next thing I know is that I am lying on the floor with tears running down my cheeks, because she had read the next line, or she knew it. girl viciously slaps me. Well, I learned that she didn't actually slap me, she punched me. And she was a little Cockney girl, and Jesus, she packed a punch. I didn't even see it coming. As I said, I was on the ground, on this stage in this theater, and I was tearing, and I just was so humiliated that I got up and I stalked her round the stage. It was electric. The script had gone. There were no, I didn't say anything. She just kept talking, and I just kept following her. And it was so electric that that punch that she delivered to me got me the part and started me on my way to movie stardom.
Excellent way to start your career. Or maybe not.
So, just to preface, so 40 years later, there was a celebratory sort of screening of the movie at the British Film Institute, and they asked me to come in from California to attend it, which I did because it was a very important movie in England. And in fact, it's the movie Kubrick saw and cast me as Alex, so it was doubly important. And so I go there and I said, oh, just make sure Christine Noonan's there. That was the name of the actress, right? And they went, oh, yes, we will. I get there, I'm in the wings, I'm about to walk on, all the people here for the 40th anniversary, and I said, oh, did you get hold of Christine? And the lady said, oh, Malcolm, I'm sorry to tell you that Christine passed away a few months ago. So I was like, yeah. And as she told me, they went, and here he is, Malcolm McDowell. I go on, I'm completely stunned. And I just made the whole evening a tribute to her, which indeed it should be, because I wouldn't have been there without her, weirdly. And so I was in the bar afterwards talking to one of the other actors, and we're sitting there, and suddenly this girl bounced in, and I thought, Jesus, that looks like Christine. It's almost uncanny. She came over and gave me a hug. It was her daughter, who was the same age as Christine was when she did the movie. So, if you haven't seen it, just look out. She's the only girl in it, so. And she was absolutely gorgeous, I thought. And I kept saying, you know, she was Cockney. I'd say, hey, Christine, do you want to have a coffee? And she'd go, no. I go, okay, I hear you. How about dinner? No, why would I want to go with you? I go, well, maybe because I'm handsome, debonair, funny, and soon to be rich. She looked at me and went, no.
Did you ever get that coffee with her?
Well, that's a secret. And I will not tell.
We can come up with our own answer to that question. So is there any role that you regret not taking or regret not pursuing more?
No. I mean, there's a few that I was a bit stupid to turn down. I turned down a film with Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, I was stupid, but the script was so bad. And you know, it wasn't as if Alfred Hitchcock was in his bloom of youth or anything. He was just a crotchety old guy. And I read the script and I thought it was so lame. I was like, how would anybody want to make this? What was it called? I can't even remember. The one he made in England later on in his life. Anyway, it's Frenzy. Thank you. Ah, good. Yes, Frenzy. And there were a few really interesting things in it. The one thing I remember when I saw the movie was there was a scene in a truck that was loaded with potatoes, and the corpse was under the potatoes, and the arm kept coming out, and that was really a real Hitchcock moment. But the film was pretty lame, I thought. So I passed on it, But in retrospect, I should have just done it just to work with the great man. So there you are. But I can't remember. I was doing something else. Maybe I was working on Clockwork. I don't know. So I couldn't do it. I can't remember. But certainly, I mean, if I chose Clockwork,
I feel like that was probably a very good choice.
That was one of the great parts of the decade, you know.
Yeah. And do you have any regrets about any roles that you did play?
Well, I played a lot of crap, of course, but I've been working as an actor for 60-odd years, so of course, you know, they're not all going to be great. I'm a working actor, though. I think it's, you know, if I take on a role, it's 100%, whether it's a piece of crap or not. And of course, I know when I'm working on it what it is. Let's not be stupid, you know. But I think it's my responsibility to elevate it if I can. So that's why people go, why would you do that? And I go, well, why wouldn't I? I mean, you can't always work for Stanley Kubrick. And, you know, if you make one masterpiece in your life, God, how lucky are you? So that's the way I look at it. I like to work. I do love working, and that's it.
According to IMDb, you have about 280 projects, with 11 coming up.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
Between
All right, well, this looks like a pretty intelligent, lovely audience. Of course, I can't see them. I do have a thing at the moment which I like very much called Son of a Critch. It's a television series that I do in Newfoundland, in Canada. And it's about a kid growing up in Newfoundland in the 80s. And I play the grandpa now, not even that. I'm 82 for God's sake. But I think it's a charming show, and it's on Netflix. It starts next week. Son of a Critch. So if you can look at it, look at it.
We definitely will. Now, with all your projects, from TV to film to stage to voice work, they're all, you know, different mediums. How do you approach roles in different mediums, and do you have a favorite medium that you like?
I think any actor really would say that he loves theatre, and I'm no different. I love the theatre because of the response of the audience that you get instantly. In a movie, of course, it's very different. It's a different technique. It's the same performance. I mean, it's the same commitment to a character, but you're only doing 3 minutes a day. And you've got to sort out in your mind where you are exactly in the movie. On a stage, in a play, of course, it's a continuity, and you feel it, and it's great. But I would say that, you know, people go, oh, they're so different. Well, there's a different technique. For instance, on the stage, if I want people to really look at me in a close-up, then I barely move. If I want to go to a medium shot, I move my arm, say, or my head. And immediately your brain, and if I want to see the whole thing, I'll get up and walk around. I'm doing that to you, and you don't even know it, of course. And on a movie, the director has to use the right lens. And so a close-up, you'll see a close-up, of course. And that's what he picks in the lens. So, but radio is I love radio, and I love doing voice work. And I've worked on my voice, you know, I mean, I'm horrified when I see my early movies now, because I'm talking like this. And you think, oh my God, the balls have not dropped. It's really not that bad, but it seems that to me, and I'm going, oh my God. I was so embarrassed, is that I literally worked on my voice, you know, because of what I'd heard, and there's early work. But the early work is really the purest, before you know any technique at all. And so the early films are really, you know, just from instinct. And they're the best, of course. It's like children. They're the best actors there are. I mean, and it's true, don't ever work with kids, which of course I'm doing all the time, and animals. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite project of yours that you would love to revisit?
You know, I really not. I mean, I suppose it would be fun to do a part twice with a lot of time in between. Well, it would be easier to learn the lines, of course, because it'd all start coming back. But no, I really don't think so. And honestly, I don't regret any part that I didn't get. I don't go around, you know, worrying about things that I'm not offered. Otherwise, you'd go nuts, you know. Of course, there are parts I could have played that I would have been a hell of a lot better than the people that played them. But I'm the only one who thinks so.
You've played many characters in horror and even, you know, horror adjacent type projects. In your career, what's the scariest thing that you've discovered about human nature in your work?
Jesus, we're getting into the psychoanalyst couch now. You know, I don't know. It's you know, it's really weird. I'm very, very lucky that I got to do a few leading man parts, romantic leads, for example, Time After Time, which I think is a beautiful film. 3 or 4 people agree with me. But it is a beautiful film. And you know, I was so relieved to be offered the part of H.G. Wells, because I think I'd been in Italy shooting Caligula, which was Gore Vidal's supposed script. It was so bad, it was unshootable. And, you know, dear Gore, he's gone now, but boy, he cast me in this movie of Caligula, and we'll talk about it because, you know, it's come back to life, which is so weird that, so the basic story is we shot Caligula in Italy. It took God knows how long. 9 months or something. I mean, it was ridiculous. And Guccione then fired the director and put in a lot of pornography that he shot separately in another country with another cameraman, and they just put it in. So they dumped all the story about Caligula, why he acted like he did and all that. They just dumped it. They didn't care. Because he had name actors in a porno movie. And unfortunately, it made a huge amount of money. So it proved that he was right. He was a horrible man, actually, and even his own children couldn't stand it. And I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but he betrayed us anyway. So, get this. Penthouse goes broke. There's some guy in Czechoslovakia who is trying to figure out how to make money on the internet. And he comes back, of course, you make money through porn. I thought it was free, but apparently it's not. And the bits that I've seen I never paid for, but so he then gets online and starts looking for things that he could buy. And there's Penthouse Pictures in a fire sale, and he buys it. So he's this guy in Czechoslovakia, the young guy in his 20s, I think, 28 or something. Anyway, so then they come to him and say, what are you going to do with all these, you know, big boxes that are in storage in the valley? And he goes, I don't know. They go, yeah, but you own them now. So he sends somebody down to see what they are, and they unpack them, and he gets the report back. This is the negative of this movie, Caligula, and all the outtakes. There's 90 hours of movie that have never been seen, because he added all the porn that he shot himself, 40 minutes of it. So they get this guy who's a film, some kind of film, I don't know, expert or whatever it is. And he goes down, he starts to look at it. Then he transfers all that stuff onto computer disk, and that's over $1 million, by the way, to do it. So they were serious. So then he starts to edit it. And I mean, I was very skeptical. I didn't want to talk about it at all, because I had it, and it's too long ago. But a friend of mine said, Malcolm, you should see it. You take a look. And I did. I sat there on my bed in Newfoundland. I was shooting Old Pop. And then having to look at myself 47 years later in this movie, and I realized this is the movie I thought I made. So I went, you know what? If you want me to talk about it, I'd be happy to do it. And so, you know, it's a remarkable film. It's called Caligula, the Ultimate Cut, and it's a totally different movie in many ways. And for instance, Helen Mirren, who was in it, in the Guccione version, she's in it for 17 minutes. In this version, she's in it an hour. So it just shows you that all her stuff was dumped, and now you see a proper movie. And you know, it's gotten incredible reviews. I just can't believe they've revisited it and said it's a brilliant movie.
Well, I'm kind of glad that they did that, because now we have a new version that we can actually enjoy, which is the version
it's still
you
pretty
wanted to make.
raunchy, you know. So Mark Critch, you know, we're doing this family show in Newfoundland. He goes, well, Malcolm, maybe we could show it at the museum. I went, yeah. He goes, there's no porn, right? I went, cut the porn. They cut it out. He goes, oh, that's great. So we'll get like 800 people, you know, to come, and then we'll donate the proceeds to a children's cancer charity. And I went, that is such a great idea. So then he saw the movie, and I was on set, and he goes, Malcolm, I just need a word with you. I went, what? What's the problem? He goes, well, I saw the movie. I went, yeah. He goes, well, you said there was no porn. I went, well, there is no porn. And he goes, well, what about the wedding when Caligula fucks the bride and the groom? I went, well, that's not pornographic. That shows the man is obsessed with power. That is absolutely not porn. Porn is when it's just, you know, people banging each other for no reason. That's porn. Anyway, we never showed the movie to the old ladies of St. John's. We spared them that.
I think we're going to start calling porn people banging for no reason. Change approved. In all the decades that you've been playing various characters in horror, how do you feel that the genre itself has evolved and changed, and how have storytelling and audience expectations evolved?
I think that horror, I'm not personally a huge fan of horror. I hate to say it at a horror convention, but having said that, some of the most interesting movies are horror movies. I mean, to me, something like Rosemary's Baby is a classic movie in any genre. It's a great movie, I think. Or The Exorcist. They're amazing movies. Now, if you're talking about movies like that, then I'm all on board. They're brilliant. I just don't particularly like slasher movies, you know. They're kind of funny, basically. And you're not supposed to take them too seriously. And of course, I did work with Rob Zombie. And I love the guy. I love the guy. I really enjoyed doing that Halloween, actually. I had a great time. It was fun. And if you've ever seen the all the off-screen stuff that we did, you know, the gag reel, you can see we had, you know, we were just laughing all the time. I remember one scene of Michael Myers with an axe coming through the door, and there with, you know, a little scout. He comes to the door, and I think I said, "Hey, why not use the bell?" And the door wasn't even locked. Cut! Jesus, now we've got to put a new door on. I'm sorry.
We are gonna have you guys ask some questions, so if you have a question you'd like to ask, go ahead and come on over to the mic and we will throw it to you shortly. I do want to ask you, is there a director, a current director that you haven't worked with yet that you would love to work with?
Oh God, so many of the young ones, you know. I mean, I've never worked with Scorsese, not so young, of course, but I've always loved his work, you know, and I don't know, I really, here again, I've never thought about it because I don't want to disappoint myself. And so if you start going, oh, I'd love, if he asked me, yeah, there's lots of them. And I love working with first-time directors. I love to ruin them forever. But actually, it's so much fun. I mean, I worked with this guy who did Thelma, this movie Thelma with June Squibb, which is a wonderful film. I don't know whether you've seen it here, but you know, she's working with an actress who was 93 when I worked with her. She knew her lines, she hit the marks every time, and she was absolutely brilliant. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she set the bar so high. You know, what a delight. And I was really bummed out the Academy didn't nominate her. But you know, it didn't have any green screen, so hey, forget it.
All right, we're going to start with you.
Thank you so much. Hi, Malcolm.
Hi.
We said hello earlier, Barbara.
We did.
Canadian, fellow Canadian. My question is, of all the characters you have played, is there one or more that were difficult for you to sustain?
Well, I can't remember one, but I think in a way, you know, you've got to be careful not to, well, for instance, I did Oh Lucky Man with the great Lindsay Anderson. And of course, when we shot the whole thing and finished, and we're watching it, he goes, yes, in this scene you dropped the ball, you're completely out of character. I went, what? I went, oh, yes, you're right. Because I was working with these two wonderful character actresses, Mona Washbourne and Dandy Nichols, who I was a huge admirer of. And so when I worked with them, it was more Malcolm relating to these two ladies rather than Mick, who was the character in the movie. So he was quite right. And I suppose I suppose I was caught out there. And I said, why can't you just cut it? And he goes, too late. And by the way, the first scene I ever did in a movie, I had to do a sword fight in a gymnasium with these kids. And we were doing the sword fight. And it was my very first scene in a movie. And so I go to see the fight in the dailies 2 days later, because we were out of London, and I was horrified. My tongue was out. And I'm like, what? Jesus, why didn't you tell me? To the director, and he goes, well, I didn't notice, but big now. You definitely see it. I went, we've got to reshoot it. He goes, don't be ridiculous. We can't reshoot it. We don't have the money. He goes, I'll just cut around it. But he said, let it be a lesson to you. Every time you're on camera, you've got to be aware of every single muscle in your face. And you know what? It was one of the biggest lessons I ever learned.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for your question. All right, next.
Spoke to you earlier. I was able to paint with Stanley Kubrick and Catherine Kubrick.
Wow.
And you came up, and it was his favorite film, A Clockwork Orange, until the copycat killings happened. And Stanley Kubrick was like, F this, I'm getting death threats, I'm pulling the movie. Did you get death threats after A Clockwork Orange?
Did I get what?
Death threats when the film when it hit, it caused such a
I got death threats before Clockwork Orange. No, I have to say, no, but you never know the nutters that are around. You know, I had one that stalked me for like 30 odd years. It was the weirdest thing. And I mean, it was a girl, a woman. She thought that I was the, I don't know, the embodiment in spirit of Waylon Jennings, for Christ's sake. Now, I'm a big fan of Waylon Jennings, but holy God, I mean, of all the people you could pick, why me? Anyway, there was the weirdest thing, and she used to show up at my gate, and so I used to hide behind, you know, if I was coming in the car. Woo! She's here, my kids were there. She's here, Dad. Get down, get down, get down. And it was a bit like that, but she was harmless, but you never know.
So you didn't get any death threats after, because of
After,
the
no.
Well, he pulled the film from London. He was like, no.
Huh?
When Stanley Kubrick pulled the film from London, England.
I was not living in London. This is years later, maybe 5 years later. I don't know, but it's around there, 3 to 5 years later. He was getting, this is what Christiana Kubrick told me. He was getting death threats for him, his family. He went to Scotland Yard and they said, look, if you don't want to get any death threats, just withdraw the film, which he did. But the film had already played all over England, and it, you know, it natural process, it had been withdrawn because it had come to end of its shelf life. So, but he withdrew it, and so you couldn't see it in the UK for, I don't know, 20 years, until he passed away, and then the floodgates were opened. And then they started showing it again. And that's why. Anyway, did you have fun with Christiana painting?
I'm a horrible painter. I just wanted to meet them. But yeah, they caught on to me quick.
Yeah.
So funny. She told who was painting, they're brilliant painters. You can actually go, it's $150. You can go to the Kubrick estate and paint with them.
Yeah.
And
she's a great painter.
oh my gosh, she's so good. So
Yeah.
I did my thing. And this is, she was telling me stories about Kirk Douglas, and I'm like, ah! So Randy, it's true. Your painting is shit. We can fix it. I love her. They're the most wonderful, normal people.
She's a great woman.
I can't afford her paintings though, but she actually touched mine up. It's hanging in the bathroom. Otherwise, I'm throwing her shit.
Yeah.
Her, Katerina and Christina touched it up, so I'm like, but yeah, you can and do go paint them because they're absolutely brilliant. And the stories they tell her.
Yeah,
amazing.
good.
That's amazing.
Well,
Thank you
nice
so
to
much.
talk to you. Yes.
Thanks.
Hi. So in terms of script writing, is there anything you're looking for as an actor when you open it? Like something that you'd like to see or something that really irks you?
Well, there has to be something. You're absolutely right. I can't tell you what it is. It's something that's a sort of chemical thing. You read it, and it either immediately appeals. Well, some don't appeal, and then I keep going on, and suddenly you go, wow, actually, that's pretty cool. But I will tell you a story about a very lazy actor, me. I kept meeting this guy who lived in Santa Monica, and I kept meeting this guy on the street, and I heard that he was a really cool documentary filmmaker, and he said, I've got this script I really want you to read. I went, okay, sure, you know. It's a lot of work reading a script. If you're going to be, critical about it, you have to really read it and, take it in. There's no skimming it. So I kept putting off reading it. I was working, and the last thing I wanted to do was read something that was never going to be made, or unlikely. So I kind of dropped the ball, and it was like maybe 2 months I hadn't read the script, and of course I bumped into him on the street, and I said, oh God, I'm so embarrassed, I'll start reading it today. And actually I did start reading it, and I got like maybe 20 pages in, and I thought, this is really cool. This is so bizarre. I went, I love it. I called him and I said, listen, I'm loving it. And he goes, really? I went, yeah. I mean, this is really well done. Yeah, well, I'm in on this. So I thought, that was a weird thing for him to say. Really? So I thought, better read on. I started to read. The next sequence, the guy goes into a bathroom, and he's got this stapler, a big stapler, and he starts putting staples into his thighs. And I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, what the hell? Well, the guy was into, pain. And the next thing is, the guy is in love with some scene in a factory filling pillows, and there's a machine that and yeah, he's in love with the damn machine. And I'm going, this is absolute trash. Oh my God. And I've told this guy it's great because I only read 20 damn pages. Oh my God, he kept calling me, and I kept going, don't answer it, don't answer. And so I still haven't answered his phone. And he's probably still looking for an actor to fall in love with a machine that shoves feathers in pillows. I wish that was not true, but actually every word is true.
Thank you so much. Next question.
How did you become a part of Caligula? Like, how did you get casted for that movie?
How did it come on?
For Caligula, how did you get casted?
How did I get cast? Mm-hmm. They saw Clockwork Orange.
Oh, so they just connected the two.
That's how I got cast. I was phoned by Gore Vidal. And I'll never forget, I was in my house in London, and I picked up the phone, and he goes, is this Malcolm? I said, yes. He said, this is Gore Vidal. And I went, it was a long pause, and I went, you mean the Gore Vidal? I mean, how many people are called Gore Vidal? And he said, look, I want to have lunch with you. I've got a proposition. I went, great. Well, yes. Of course, I just knew him as this, one of the great writers in America. And so he said, we'll meet at this place called the Penthouse Club. I went, you mean Penthouse? Don't you mean the other one, Playboy? Playboy has a club. He goes, no, Penthouse have one. And I went, well, I'm sorry, I'm not a connoisseur on the... So we met there for lunch. And, it was ridiculous, the lunch, but... So I said, well, who's going to, pay for the movie? Is it, a studio picture? He goes, no, it's going to be Bob Guccione. And I went, the pornographer. And he said, Malcolm, just think of him as one of the Warner Brothers. I swear to God, you can't make this up. And so started, and I was working with Helen, I think, at the time with Olivier. We were doing this Pinter thing. And I said, Helen, do you want to go to Rome? She went, yeah, I love Rome. I love Italy. I went, listen, there's a part. Please come. I'll get you a load of money. She went, okay. And thank God she came because she was a mate. And it was a tough year.
Thank you for your question. We have time for one, maybe two more questions.
Hi, Malcolm. Lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, were there any mementos you ever took from any of the sets that you've been on? I've always been partial to your purple coat that you wore in the record store in Clockwork Orange, but my grandmother suggested the codpiece.
You could have had that purple coat. They just sold it at auction, and it went for nearly £50,000.
Oh my God.
I know, right? It was so ugly, that coat, that I couldn't even take it myself. I mean, I couldn't see myself wearing it around London. But, you know, I'm stupid that I don't take stuff. And then when these films become iconic, I mean, for instance, somebody said, your script is probably worth $500,000. And I went, my God, my ex-wife has it. So I called her and I went, look, I was generous on this. Could you, all those boxes you brought back from London, could you check and see if my script is there? She goes, it's not. I went, how do you know? She goes, I just know it's not. And that was that. So, end of story, you know. But that's another story. We'll keep this happy.
Thank you for your question. Last one.
I was wondering, what was it like working on that episode of Tales from the Crypt?
Say that one more time.
What was it like working on the episode of Tales from the Crypt?
Oh, it was fun. Dear George Wendt. What a lovely man he was, just passed. I really liked George a lot. And we had great fun because he had worked with a friend of mine called Ronnie Fraser, who was this actor who I'd worked with in a play, a Joe Orton play called Entertaining Mr. Sloan. And he played the brother of the leading character, Beryl Reed. He was her brother, and I was the sort of rent boy who moved into her house, and you know, she's trying to get me into the sack, and then he comes in, and he goes, hello, what was the name again? He goes, you go to the gym, do you? You look quite worked out. No. He goes, oh, well, can you drive? I'm looking for a chauffeur. I go, yeah, I can drive. He goes, good, well, my chauffeur. Well, you know exactly what's going down there. So Ronnie was one of my favorite people. I just adored him. And this was early days, you know, for me, I was, I guess it was just after Clockwork, but around that time, Ronnie used to roll these joints that we'd smoke after the performance, and they were literally like Tampax size. But the pot was so weak. You know, this is not like California stuff that blow your mind. This is like, and also he never got the knack of cleaning it and taking the seeds out. So you'd be smoking away and it'd be like a firework. But he was one of my favorite people. I absolutely adored him. We used to go to see Bob Mitchum together. He'd go, Malk, Big Bob's in town. I'd go, oh, we got to go to the Dorchester. And of course, Big Bob was in town, and he'd be sitting there with, of course, one of Ronnie's big joints. He goes, it's not really affecting me much. Has this got anything in it? You go, yeah, in English, it's really kind of weak. Anyway, he goes, listen, all right. He's doing this film in Ireland, right? Ryan's daughter. He goes, I'm sitting on a fucking rock. Lean is waiting for a seagull to go left or right. He goes, 3 months I'm sitting on that rock. He said, I'm sitting on it so long, the seaweed grown out of my ass. This is Bob Mitchum. We're listening to God, you know. We just adored the man. I just thought he was not only a great actor, he just had fun, you know. I don't know, I'm not saying, I'm not married to him. That's a whole different story. But for us, we just had the greatest time. So there he is, the great one, Bob Mitchum.
Thank you so much for your question. Well,
did I answer the question? What was the question?
what was it like to work on the episode of Tales from the Crypt?
Oh, sorry. I got waylaid there, but I'm getting old, so...
Went off on a tangent, that's okay, we enjoyed it.
Tales of the Crypt, well, as I said, I am old, and I can't remember a fucking thing about it. No, I just enjoyed very much. It was Elliot Silverstein was the director. Woo, where did I pull that one from? And dear old George. And it was fun, you know. The fact of a vampire working in a blood bank, I mean, that was fun. And, it was 4 days, it was over, gone. So it doesn't stick that much in my memory, except that I enjoyed it, that's all. But then, as I've said, I pretty much enjoy everything. Even the dire ones.
And that's the key, I think. Well, we are officially out of time. Thank you so much.